Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Fortnightly Frontier. Over there is streamer and voice actor extraordinaire Myre, and over here, Darjanator
Extraordinaire.
A Darjanator extraordinaire, I'll
There you go.
take it. Yes, we have a good show for you tonight. If you're watching this live, or pretty much close to where it was released, you will know that Invictus is coming, it's approaching, it is almost here a fact. You could catch glimpses of it in the PTU if you're lucky. But we won't be touching upon that tonight because it actually, releases to live in about 2 weeks. And as we all know, CIG is very good at changing a lot of things at last second. So we'll just leave that as it is for now.
Speaking of changing things in the last second, last year's Invictus, did it start on the 21st or was it slightly different? I forget.
I only know that the actual video for Invictus came out on the 23rd
Of this month?
of May.
Of
yes.
May. All right. So, yeah, I guess in that case, no, Invictus last year was a bit later. Which is interesting because, it's supposed to be, I guess it's not just a day, it's a week there as well, in the future.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to some degree.
I mean, does it start on a specific day of the week? What is the 21st of May? It is a Friday.
Maybe.
So,
Maybe. But yeah, so Invictus is around the corner, and as Dar says, people who have access to the game and are old hats and Star Citizen have seen a lot of the goodies that are coming with it. We're not going to touch too much on that, apart from maybe talking a little bit on the new vehicles that are in. Only two of them, the Hercules and the Nova Tank, or the Tonk, because they might actually have something to do with today's topic.
The Nova, maybe not so much. In a roundabout way, maybe, but just like any other ground vehicle would at that point. But the Hercules, yes, definitely. But yes, as you said, the topic of today's show is a personal inventory and how that's going to change the game, because every new feature that's coming out for Star Citizen is changing the game.
Yeah, I mean, some changes in the games in bigger ways than others, but I really do feel as if this whole personal inventory system is going to change things, I suppose, in a huge way, but not just the inventory system, but 3.14 in general, because not only are we getting this personal inventory system, but we're also getting, I guess, some of the first steps into this whole death of a spaceman path as well, but more on that later.
Yeah, well, we already touched upon that, so I don't really kind of want to go too much into that. But I'm just checking on the roadmap, and the roadmap is a wonderful thing.
Yep.
Just for a specific piece of tech that is going to be building on top of the personal inventory, is going to actually solidify this type of new mentality as it comes to playing the game. And I'm talking about the new app.
Okay.
For Mobiglass, the item locator app or whatever it is, that's not coming with this first iteration of personal inventory, but that is going to be replacing the personal manager app, where your little bottomless bag of goodies where you can just pull everything out of. That will be basically just tracking where in the verse your individual items are.
Right.
So, if you want that specific scope that is attached to your gun that is in a locker of a Gladius that's in a hangar on a different moon, you're going to have quite a trek if you want that specific item. It may actually be cheaper and easier to go to the store and buy a new one.
True.
Stuff like that.
So, before we can talk about how these changes will affect the game, I guess we should probably start by brushing over, how it currently works. So you just said there's a personal management application or something, or a PMA. And
Yeah,
with
I think
that,
that's it.
yeah, it's essentially, as Dar said, like a bag of holding. You press the
That's
button.
the phrase I was looking for,
Yeah.
damn it.
You press the button, you go inside, and you have all your stuff in there, and like there is no limitations to how many of what you can get. There are some limitations, but that's more to do with like just the game freaking out that you've just bought 10,000 magazines and now you can't use any of them. But like, but yeah, so like, that's the current state of inventory right now, is that you have this inventory system, and like you can go into it whenever you want. If you die, nothing changes, and you can you just
Except if you're holding a weapon as you die.
That's true.
You lose that item.
Yeah,
That's it.
Because when you get shot, your player drops the gun on the floor, and the game knows like cleverly that you've dropped the thing, it's no longer part of you, and so it gets removed. So essentially what's that's going to be replaced with is this new personal inventory system, which is a whole like part of a greater inventory system like change, but it's going to be starting with the player initially. So instead of having this bag of holding, we're going to be getting a bag of some holding. So like instead
a
of
bag,
yes,
just a bag.
A bag, yeah. So like instead of having this endless void, you'll have to purchase a physical bag to then put your gear and stuff in, which will be very interesting to see, because like how big will these bags be? Are they going to be backpacks or rucksacks or duffel bags? And like, will they work with all pieces of armor? And then,
and what are all the things that you can fit inside? We have some of this already in. You have torsos and leg armor for consumables like water bottles and crunchy bars and individual rocks of hadanite that you pick up.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff you can already carry on your person. Just stuck in the crevices and stuff like that, because you don't really have any pockets. But now, sure, proper backpacks. Probably not going to be as involved as some people kind of wanted as well from the start.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it
is basically just a volume, and then you have a bunch of stuff that you can put inside it. It's not limited in any way. Like if you could still probably put like your the Animus rocket launcher inside a backpack, even though if you look at them side by side, physically one does not fit in the other.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure there'll be some hand wavium for things like that, but it'll be interesting to see exactly how far they go with that. Other games out there, like for instance DayZ, to use one that has a inventory system, has kind of like a Tetris thing where like if you have a big item, then you can fit it inside the bag as long as you fit it a certain way, and that'll actually stop you from putting other stuff inside that can't necessarily fit because like it's using up like 2 whole rows of like I guess inventory cubes. But the app you were talking about before, that was the Asset Manager app that's getting released in tandem with the this new inventory system.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
In 2014.
It says looking at the roadmap, it's going to be done by mid-June. So it looks like it'll be done for 3.14 for this new patch.
I'm looking at 3.15. I'm looking at the release view of.
All right, so you want to go to
the
progress tracker, because that way you can see some, I guess, what you'd call a more invisible things that will be going into the next patch. And one of them is the Asset Manager. So the description there says, in support of localized inventories, the Asset Manager keeps track of all player-owned items. So it's kind of essential if we're moving into this new system, where they're stored and where they need to go to pick up, transfer, and equip an item. So like, that's interesting. So like this app not only will tell you what you have on you, but if you have bought other stuff, it'll tell you where you need to go to actually get it. So maybe perhaps if you go to like Kasaba or something and buy like 20 bottles of water, but you don't have the inventory space, now the manager app will say, well, to get the stuff you're owed, maybe you have to go somewhere else for it, or like, go back to Kasaba to get it from there. But yeah.
Or, if you go to a Kasaba, and they will have the entire list of their entire not their inventory, but the entire offerings. But just like in a shop online, it will say available from, our location, New Babbage.
Okay.
I chose the one location where there is an Akasaba.
Yep. Well, fair enough. I mean, maybe Port Tressler then.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
All right. Port Tressler, yes. You're at Everest Harbor and you want the specific color of hat, but it's only at Port Tressler. You'll be able to buy it from that terminal.
Yeah.
But then they'll say either have it delivered here for an extra cost and time, or you can just go, wait for you at that location. You can pick it up.
Yeah. So it says where the player will need to go to pick up, transfer, and equip an item. So like if you can't in this first iteration buy like let's say 6 Inquisitor chess pieces, right, and then put them in a backpack and leave, then that would mean that to some degree wherever you've bought those clothes is now kind of going to be your home base in a way, because let's say you've died or you've lost that chess piece, so you want to get another one, you'll have to go to that very specific place to get it back again, unless
you still have 5 of them stored somewhere.
Exactly. So that's like one part of this whole thing, like the fact that you'll no longer have this bag of holding and you'll have to like use these locations to go do stuff. So how will that affect gameplay in general, do you think?
Well, you'll have to think and plan carefully for bigger ops. Like you can't just, you're in your civilian clothes, just walking around. Microtech, as I said before, and you get a you're bored. You bring out your mobiGlas and go, oh yeah, okay. There's a bunker clear out mission that I could go, accept. Go into the PMA, grab all your gear, put it on, go over there, and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah,
that's probably the first time I've ever used that phrase.
Bob's your uncle.
Bob's your uncle, yes. Robert's your father's brother.
Barb's your aunt.
But now you're gonna, what if you don't have any armor at your location? All your stuff's in your hangar in the what's the belt? Let's say the Iron Halo.
Yeah.
The Iron Halo has, is now rentable. You can build hangars there, permanent hangars, just for,
sure,
some theater of the mind. Yeah. Oh, crap. Now I'm going to have to travel there and then come back again. So, you kind of start putting different locations for your ventures in your planning, so you're not bored when you're just hopping all over a system, gathering items from one location to the other. And that might also get people to travel less, which is something they kind of want.
Yeah, to some degree, yeah.
Like just between planetary systems, like so they start sticking around Hurston or Microtech more than just hopping all over a system.
Yeah.
Because then they'll start hoarding all their positions in a single location, in a homestead, or
a station,
a couple of locations very close by. It's that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like in this first iteration, it's more or less just gonna feel like handbrakes to a lot of people who've been playing the game for a while. I already foresee people like, complaining about, the death of flexibility, because they'll have to plan ahead, right? Like, right now in the game, if I want to, like, go into combat or something, from my ship, I press a button, I can put on heavy armor, do a mission, and then, like, dress down back into my undersuit so I don't, like, get, whatever this goes wrong. I feel like in the first iteration, when this thing gets released in 3.14, what we'll likely see is people just walking everywhere in heavy armor, because something that CIG want to add at a later date, because it's not on the roadmap, are limitations for the kinds of armor that you wear. So that, like, if you want to fly a Gladius, you have to be in, like, a flight suit or, like, light to medium armor. But in this first iteration, what I foresee is that people will just wear the heaviest gear they have, because there is no need to wear lighter armor to some degree, like, especially if there's less benefits from it and you can't change freely.
But there should be limitations to what you do with heavy armor, like lower visibility because your helmet's more armored and has a smaller visor, and slower mobility. Sure, you'll be able to carry more, but with a bulky enough armor, you shouldn't be able to go through checkpoints because you're too wide, you're too thick.
Yeah, I mean, like, eventually, right?
And not just that.
Yeah.
Just like imagine walking into area 18 wearing heavy outlaw armor.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're gonna get guns pointed at you immediately because what the hell is that guy dressed like a tank doing in our beautiful city?
Yeah.
It's like that is like implied threat.
Yeah.
I think that it should, NPCs and everything should treat you like that.
Yeah. But, that's more like for further down the line,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for this initial release, those limitations aren't going to be there. So I just see that, like, people are going to just wear the rucksacks and wear all the big clothes and everything all at once because that's how they're going to basically have the least downtime for now, because without those restrictions that you just said, there is no need to be in your undersuit unless, of course, you want to, just like give yourself issues.
Yeah. Unless you want to RP as well.
Yeah.
Why not?
So that's very true. That's very true. So we don't necessarily know exactly how the inventory system is going to work necessarily for things that aren't your player. On the roadmap, it's just about the player's personal inventory. And right now, there aren't that many like ships that you can go inside and see like a storage container or something like that. Apart from, and this is like something they tested with the Hercules, the Hercules and the Grey Cats, the Rocks and the Rock DS. You can go inside and you can actually like move inventory and stuff around inside. So in those ships, you have more flexibility for stuff, but they have a lot of tech debt for all the older ships to be able to give you that same flexibility. So yeah.
The Gladius also has a personal inventory or personal storage little cubby, but it's not activated yet, I don't believe.
I haven't checked in 3.13, or 3.13.1, so I don't know if that's the case. But yeah, in 3.13, the Gladius finally went gold standard, and it did actually have like a panel that opens up, and you can see that there's storage space there for your character. I would be surprised actually if it didn't have it in, but I haven't checked yet because of course the Hercules has it, so it would make sense for it to.
Yeah, and it would make sense from a sort of like a story point of view because that is your ship in Squadron 42, and I'm sure there's going to be missions where like at least a secondary objective is going to be you having to retrieve a certain item from a location you're being sent to, and there's no other like storage on the Gladius. I mean, there's storage for 2 weapons, but that's it.
Yeah. So I feel like one thing that might perhaps maybe incentivize people not to wear heavy armor with every single thing that they want equipped, like let's say like 4 medipens, 4 oxypens, all your grenades, 20 bars of soap in your in your chest piece, is the fact that with 3.14 not only are we getting personal inventory, as I said, but we're also getting those first steps into Death of a Spaceman, including your players dying and leaving their bodies behind. That was on the monthly report. So
damn,
yeah.
I need to read that. Shit. It's like the first monthly report I didn't read because I was so spoiled by the previous month's monthly report with all the cute little videos and little things that just made me go, and then I looked at this monthly report and there
were no videos. Well,
no.
I did read it out loud
so
and it's on YouTube, so you can go check it out there,
yes, definitely. YouTube.com/Myre, I'm guessing.
No, I lost my custom URL once I lost my partnership, but in about 50 subscribers, I'll get it back. So anybody watching who wants to go check out my YouTube channel and give me a subscription so I can go get my vanity URL back, that'd be nice. But yeah. So So with all that, yeah, I mean, like we talked about Death of a Spaceman earlier, but we didn't necessarily
click the card.
Yeah. Wait. Yes.
I'm gonna pull that in YouTube.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to it.
Shit.
But yeah, we talked about Death of a Spaceman earlier, so we're not going to touch upon it too much. But yeah, with 3.14, the way we see it, from what we've read, it's again not set in stone, but it does seem as if this is going to be the patch now where you die. When you die, your character essentially will get cloned on the spot. Not cloned in the way as in like sci-fi cloned, but but
in-game duplicated, yes, because right now when you die your character gets teleported.
So that
not teleported, moved. It actually gets moved. The further you are from your last spawn location, the longer it takes, because your character has to actually physically traverse at the maximum speed the engine supports.
Yeah. So that's not changing with 3.14, but when you die, now the game makes a copy of your character, ragdoll and all, and armor and all, and then your character gets moved naked to a hospital with a gown. Yeah, so if you remember where you died, provided it's not somewhere random in the middle of space, because space is a lot, then you can go back and you can find it, and you can get your stuff back. But it also means that, like, if you get killed, like, let's say, raiding players who are just like, you know, baiting bounty hunters or something, then it's going to be more difficult to get back to your heavy armor with all the stuff that's in it.
Yeah. And then you said gowns, but there's no nudity in Star Citizen, so we're not gonna have the classic
bare butt
hospital gown scene.
Nope, just bare RSI branded underpants hospital scene instead.
CIG, come on, what you doing?
No butt. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to all that with the new hospital gameplay and stuff. I say gameplay, it's essentially gonna be like the lawful player's prison, essentially, you know, like you wake up and you have to navigate out of prison, you know, and then get back to the game. So I guess don't die.
Don't die, no.
Yeah.
But it'll be finally, you know, fun seeing the hospitals that have been in every landing zone from the very beginning finally being able to use.
Yeah, that's true. So one thing that we don't know for sure, though, about moving into 3.14 is that, like, when you get taken out or you die, so how Death of a Spaceman was explained was that, like, you either wait for somebody to resurrect you, or you die, come back to your body and get your stuff. There are some healing elements coming into 3.14, things like the medical gun, the medical scanner with like you know, like 3D skeleton shader things to see where people's fractures are and stuff like that, if, you know, like the wording is to go by. So does that mean that with 3.14 we're getting player resurrection? We'll have to wait and see.
I wonder well, I am still not concerned, but like interested in how they're gonna make waiting to be resurrected fun. How do you make being unconscious fun?
I don't think they have to. No other MMO does. Being dead is the single most big suckest thing in the world, and that is a scientific term. Look it up. Like when you die in like any MMO, like Ion, World of Warcraft, like SWTOR, anything like that, like it just says press button to release your spirit, and you can spin the camera around looking at people walking past you and laughing. You know, like that's just your life in an MMO. So I don't think CIG necessarily needs to do anything too crazy. Maybe perhaps like be more relaxed in the fact that, like, when you die, maybe don't fade to black. Make it so that you can still see your surroundings, or at the very least, like, have a HUD element or something saying, you know, like, closest player that can save you is X distance away.
That's sort of like still gonna have to explain, like, there is a sort of afterlife in the Star Citizen universe, and, you know, everybody knows what it's like.
Yeah.
Unless the whole cloning procedure and downloading of the brains has, you know, something to do with how that transition is being handled.
You know how I foresee a lot of these things going on? One sec, sorry. So like in other MMOs, right? When somebody is dead, they can like, type in general chat, hey, help, I've died, can somebody please come res me? They PM people, they beg, they spam, and then eventually maybe one good Samaritan comes over and reses them. In Star Citizen, with the personal inventory system, well, somebody can come and see your corpse, they can choose to resurrect you, or they could choose to loot you, thanks to that handy beacon you just had on your ass that showed them where a dead player was. So that's something that's kind of like brand new, I suppose, in an MMO space to have that. Normally, like losing your stuff to another player is something that happens like, in like nullsec or like the wilderness or something in MMOs. It's not like an everyday occurrence, but in Star Citizen it seems like it is, which is kind of funny.
Ooh, excuse me. It's still an uncharted thing, just because of the levels of fidelity and like on the scale between. Have to remember that I can't just push out my hands and gesture wildly. On a scale between pure arcadey gameplay and realism, Star Citizen tends to be more towards realism than just gameplay like all other MMOs are. So either that means coming up with completely new mechanics to handle stuff like that, or admitting that it's a video game. And some things just can't be, simulated.
Okay. Yeah, because one of the things that, like, comes to mind is the fact that, like, when games try and, like, I guess cater too much, I wouldn't say cater to PvP, but cater to this whole, like, helping yourself, like, you before other players, or, like, getting... I don't know. I guess PvP is probably the biggest word, the best term to use here. The communities themselves tend to suffer as a result, Like, look at any PvP game out there. The communities are the worst. Everybody hates each other. Everybody is always, downvoting people, each other on Reddit before anybody can talk about anything. There's no discussion. Because like the gameplay that they've had and the experiences they've had have kind of fostered that mindset. If you're not in a guild or an org where you're looking after each other because you're under a name, then you're just somebody to rob, right? You're just somebody to get a leg up over so you can like get ahead. Thankfully, we're still very, very early in development. We're still in alpha, and these features are coming brand new. So CIG have the opportunity now to be able to try and see what's going on, how players use this tech, and try and make it so that maybe it's not so bad, at least in UEE space, and leave the more hardcore elements of PvP and loss to like, pyro, or like just places that aren't always the norm, perhaps. But I guess, what do you think?
Well, whatever CIG implements as tier 0 is definitely going to be lauded by some people and completely vilified by others, because everybody thinks that this is how it's gonna be from now and until the end times. No matter how many times the phrase development is iterative is uttered, some people just don't listen. How would you actually like this entire death experience and persistence of inventory be like?
Honestly, like, I'm not sure until I experience it, because the only other games that offer this kind of, or that will offer this kind of, I guess, difficulty are things like Dark Souls and some like Japanese MMOs that like don't live longer than a year because of the nature of the beast. If you have a game where you can earn a whole lot of stuff and then lose it like just instantly, then it kind of like makes it so that you play it and you're involved and you love it up until when you lose it all, and then you're like, okay, whatever, like and the Western communities that we have for games of this kind of nature, like DayZ and other like roguelite MMOs, are weird. They're weird, you know. Like I discovered the Star Citizen community because, like, on the DayZ subreddit back in the day, somebody was like, "Why can't you guys be more like the Star Citizen people? Why can't you be more, you know, like more of a community?" This was back in 2015, before like an actual game, which is probably why everybody's all buddy buddy and kumbaya, because they're all dreaming about the game instead of getting salty at one another because of the game instead. But yeah, I mean, how would I like it? I guess not many other games out there do a thing like this, let alone MMOs, where you die and then people can just loot your corpse and that kind of thing. So personally, I'm all for it. I love this kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's kind of uncharted territory in a way to make it so that, like, even, like, let's say if somebody backspaces input LSR, that somebody can steal their stuff. So we'll have to wait and see, because this sort of gameplay breeds toxicity like crazy.
Yeah, like it hadn't even occurred to me that this is going to completely remove the old backspace to get yourself out of situations problem. There's gonna have to be like an alternative to getting stuck. Like a couple of days ago, I was doing one of those caterpillar investigation missions, and I got stuck in geometry, and nothing I could do would get me unstuck. I was stuck in free fall and not moving anywhere. I believe, you know, that should be one of the things that can easily be fixed. Like they made vehicles unflip.
Yeah.
You know, easy. Well, easy. It's a similar situation. All I'm saying is, so if there's still situations like that where the only way out is to suicide yourself, there's going to be a lot of corpses around.
Yeah, I mean, like, just in today's session when we played Star Citizen, I died like 5-6 times. Now imagine, like, not only will I have to, like, get the insurance for my ships, but also, like, hit myself up if that was the case, or, like, get new undersuits. So, like, there's a whole lot of downtime stuff to think about. You know, like, obviously this is only one part of the inventory changes that they're making. There's also going to be, like, local inventories with, like, you know, hangars and all sorts of stuff. But down at the player level, there's still a lot to think about. And I guess we'll have to wait and see. I think that this particular topic deserves a part 2 when the feature actually comes out. Because...
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. We'll have to revisit this, yes.
Yeah. Because... it's hard to not think about a feature that they've described thus far that sounds really cool, sounds really immersive, you know, like on paper from a, you know, game design dog kind of perspective, but in application, like with players being players, it's gonna be rough. I feel it's gonna be rough. I mean, like, I don't want to be a naysayer. I mean, like, sometimes people say that I'm a bit negative sometimes here. But, like, it does feel like something I want to see, but at the same time, I can see it going wrong so many ways. Or, like...
Oh, yeah. Well, the first implementation is definitely gonna have teething issues. Like, the only one recently that hasn't was mining, but that was only because it was very bare bones, and then they worked their way up from there.
Yeah, but you see, the issue is, right, with mining can go wrong. Mining can go wrong a million ways to Sunday, but it doesn't matter, because it's just mining. This changes it for every single player in the verse, and they'll have to think about how they play the game differently now. And, you know, to some, it'd be amazing. You know, like, this level of immersion means that they now have to plan their, you know, their rides, you know, putting stuff in their ships, not blowing up, and that kind of thing. But to others, I mean, like, there are, you know, people who, I guess, it's not necessarily about, like, immediate gratification or whatever, or instant gratification, but it's more that they just don't want to do this, like, preliminary stuff all the time. And and then,
especially if you still have bugs like being quantum splined through the planet after you spend hours kitting it out with different spacesuits and supplies and weapons for the mission, and then just goes boom.
Yeah. So you have people who just aren't a fan of the feature, but you also have people who will be soured on the feature because they'll just, you know, things that would just be like, oh, I died. Isn't this game funny? To like, oh, I died. Now I have to spend 10 more minutes getting even more stuff prepared to try again. But again, I don't want to sound overly negative, so forgive me if I do. But I don't know. Maybe.
No, I can completely see it going, not well, being like a feature implemented at the wrong time sort of syndrome. Just because there's so many things outside of the actual feature that is going to make the feature's existence over the previous implementation be a sour note for a lot of people. Yeah,
I mean, it's a feature that was always going to be coming, and it is only one part of the bigger feature. So I mean, like, it's one of those now or never things, right? They have to put it in to see if it works, and if it doesn't work, they can always tweak it. But that initial like teething change, I mean, people just don't like change in general. So that initial change, I feel I've talked about this as being like a paradigm shift in how people play Star Citizen, because it will be in terms of like how you think about what goes on, and like a simple, oh, okay, I'm gonna backspace here, lol, goes into, oh, okay, now I have to like run away from people and then press backspace in a corner and die there alone so that nobody knows where I've died, so they don't steal my stuff.
Yeah. If the whole dying and leaving your inventory behind is through legitimate reasons, because of your own carelessness or lack of skill in combat or whatever, then it's fine. Then it's something like in Minecraft, where you can have a huge treasure trove, being hauled with you, and if you die because you fall into a ravine or into a pool of lava or get blown up by a creeper, you lose all that inventory unless you're playing modded. If you're playing vanilla, you just lose that, and it stays there forever until someone or something starts picking it up. But if it's because of bugs and you keep losing all your stuff, it's gonna make people go stockpiling a lot of stuff.
And the issue
that's going to create a sort of like a preparatory mentality where people are going to have like hundreds of sights and guns and different pieces of armor, just because at one point it was so easy to lose it because of the new death mechanic that you couldn't help but have multiple instances of the same thing.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess as possible solutions, with iCache coming in as well, it means that CIG servers will be able to keep a better track on the things that you have, the items that you have, and the positions of stuff on your ship. We know that with not 3.14 but 3.15, Crusader is coming in, correct? Or is it 3.14 that Crusader is coming in? Is it as soon as 3.14? Because regardless, we know that
the Planet Crusader and the Orison Landing Zone are tentative for release in 3.14.
Right. So we know that those things are coming in. We know iCache is coming through as well with all those things. So I brought up Orison because they've shown in the concepts, there's an insurance office in Orison, which with all the things iCache is going to be able to bring to the table, it would mean that you might be able to insure your gear, like Escape from Tarkov style, or like a whole number of things.
I don't know. I don't know, because Disco said the insurance desk is in the hospital, not just somewhere in Orison.
Okay. I mean, still...
So, specifically for medical insurance.
Right. Okay, well, that kind of changes things. If it wasn't in the hospital and just a place, then I would have, then been able to say, okay, maybe it could be for contents insurance for your vehicles, maybe it could be for your player insurance for the stuff that you had on you, because at least that would mean that if I died, instead of having to go back to my body and going, oh, great, these guys have taken everything but one oxypen, I can just, turn around to the guy and say, yeah, I died again, I'll pay you 10,000 UEC. It's a money sink because I have all this money anyway, and let me get on with my life. But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see now.
it'll be great to see if we'll also have like different orgs that will venture to you'll be able to hire. It's not going to be just you going back to your body, but you'll be able to hire like a beefed out a bunch of people in a beefy meta ship that just goes in, kicks butt, takes names, and grabs your body and chucks it in and brings it back to you for a fee.
For a fee.
that would be a great game loop, especially because we already have body dragging mechanics. Just grab the body, chuck it in the ship, and go.
Yeah. Man, I can't wait to see exactly what these new medical gameplay things will be in this first iteration. I also really want that Apollo. I don't have a favorite ship, but I really want that Apollo. I mean, people have been like, I want that Hercules, I want that Apollo. Especially, if we have even a fraction of what it's supposed to be able to do. I don't feel like we'll get the gurney or anything anytime soon, even though docking is now a thing. But yeah, so we have some questions in chat. We got a couple.
All right, let's go with questions.
So the first question, a Cutlass Red Medibed, Cutlass Red Medibeds won't be spawn points any longer. When do you expect that change, if at all?
Oh, with hospitals. When we get hospitals.
So 314?
Do we get hospitals in 314?
I think.
Is that confirmed? Because under locations, it's not in.
Is it in any release view thing for hospitals?
Healing T0, creating the backend technology required for healing T0. So that's tech.
Okay.
And then NPC healing.
Okay. So we're getting Orison in 314, but you're saying that we're not going to get Orison's hospital pad or something in 314.
So we have Orison V2 in 316. And that just says adding more shops and services. And doesn't specify what. Right.
But I guess to answer the question, will we? Do you foresee us not getting the ability to revive in the red? It was never a feature of the Cutlass Red to be able to revive, but it's just a mechanic that they wanted to test. There's only one ship in the game, and one medical ship that they've spoken of that has a resurrection capability, and that was the Hope class Genesis Starliner capital ship. So that's the big one, right? And yeah. So
that's even beyond the what's that MISC one that it can have a hospital. Endeavor.
The MISC Endeavor. No. This is the MISC Endeavor I was talking about. What did I say? I meant the Hope class.
Genesis Starliner.
No, I'm a dumbass. I meant the Hope class MISC Endeavor.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
okay, good.
Class,
I was wondering, why the hell is the Genesis Starliner have a hospital mode?
No, I'm a dumbass. I meant the Hope class MISC Endeavor.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's the only ship they've ever talked about having, hospitals. Also, looking at the roadmap, hospitals tier 0. That's something they're going to start work on. They've started work on actually at the beginning of this year, and it's slated to be until the end of November. So I don't think we'll be seeing hospitals in 314. Yeah. Oh well. At least not ubiquitous. Not all around the verse. At least.
Well, at least we'll see their development quite extensive development on ISC. Just the sprint reports are full of them, just like they are of the homesteads.
Yeah, but
like that.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to all that. I really am. I mean, again, inventory is going to change regardless of whether or not people like it or not. Going forwards, even after we get this asset manager and stuff, we'll be able to manage inventory on a larger scale in hangars too. Whether or not your hangars will move around like they do right now, or if they'll be static, so you'll have to go back to let's say a particular hangar on a space station because that's the one you kitted out. We'll have to wait and see. But
I don't think the hangars at space stations is something that'll be personal. That is just a landing zone, and then the ship is valeted away or valeted away, whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Personally owned.
It's on the progress tracker. persistent hangers is on the progress tracker. So so there are two persistent deliverables on the tracker: persistent habs and persistent hangers. So I don't necessarily know exactly how they're going to be doing it in tier 0. I feel like
especially if you don't have server meshing.
Yeah, so I feel like how it's going to be is how it is right now, where when you join a server, you get assigned a hab, right? And then that hab, like maybe before Microtech, if you were to put a box in your hab, log out, wake up next week, let's say, and log back on, if you go back to your hab on Microtech or for whatever place, that hab would have that box still there, and it would remember all the items' locations. That's how people like Board Gamer were able to store so many turtles in their hab. So like,
sure,
yeah,
but
that hab,
there's a lot more people playing the game than there are habs at Aspire Grand. So that habs were shared between people. So we're saying that a lot of people were just waking up in Board Gamer's hab and just being surprised by like the plethora of turtles on display.
No.
Or was it instanced?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's instanced. So if Board Gamer is not on the server, then the hab is just a hab. When he logs into that server then remembers his hab state, and then it loads everything back up. So like that's how I would see a Star Citizen doing this. I mean, like everybody, they want it to be like, it's real life and this hab is there forever. But how I would see it being done the smart way would be like, let's say I want a size 1 hangar. They give me a size 1 hangar. It could be hangars 1 through 10. Doesn't matter. But when I go to that hangar, it is how I've laid out a hangar before.
Right, the interior of your hangar is what you set it up, even though it may not exit the building at the exact same spot, because it will actually be hangar 1 this time, hangar 3 that time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's how.
Actually, that makes sense.
I mean, it's more gamey, but also this is a video game. Yeah, because some people are all about like maybe perhaps having it so that on Laravel we have L19 right now, which is like the 1 living quarters. Well, they want it when server meshing comes in that there's going to be L 1 through 99, and then like you have one of those, and that's your hab. I live in L42, Block A, Room 2, and
you wish,
and that's my hab. And then like if I'm not there, even if you're playing from Japan, you go to L42, Block A, Room 2, and you can't open that door. Only I can if I go there. That's how some people want it to be. I don't know if that's going to be the reality of the game. They've talked about how like, these cities are designed so that they can be dynamically adjusted.
But if you've got the hangars and the habs that persist, and that same hab is assigned to do different people, and they just happen to be in the same location at the same time, that means that they walk up to the door of their hab at the same time, and who owns it.
What do you mean? Sorry, repeat that.
Right. So there's gonna be less habs that are be players, right? That's obvious.
Unless they make Ls 1 through 99, yes.
Yeah. And then you have how many floors? 6 floors. And 10 habs per, so 60 times 100. I guess with that many you could get away with it. So it's very rarely happens. Like if every player went to Laravel, and got a hab,
right,
and they got in at the same time, they're gonna have to instance it so 2 people that get the same hab don't wake up in the hab at the same time.
Right. So
you know what I mean?
But if we're using the example I used, where I bought or I am renting L42A, like Block 8, Room 2, that is mine. Nobody else can rent it. The game knows that it's mine, and nobody else can. It's either that or like if you go into any hab right now, they're all identical. Like from a item placement perspective, they're all identical. So like the other way would be keep all the rooms how they are, and then just have it that when I log in, it'll just a room like it's mine. When I leave, it'll keep it until I leave the
Yeah,
server.
but I don't like that. Just because when you come back, you can't get in anymore.
You can't anymore.
The only way
but
to get back in
is to die.
is to die.
That's now. That's now. But in the future, that you turn around and you can open the door and go back inside like you could in 2.x.
But sure, but that means if it's persistent that it's only yours, that means that at a certain point, you know, somebody who comes to Lorville and says, "I'd like to rent a hab," they'll go, "Sorry, no vacancies."
I guess. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see.
Persistence is such a thorn.
Yeah. But some people would go, good. Wow, this is immersive. I get to be homeless now.
I guess I'll have to go to Orson and live among the pink and purple clouds instead of this smoggy city.
Or, I mean,
Woe is me.
I guess that's why the orbital stations exist as well. You know, like, so you could live up there instead, or have your hab there. Because I don't think they've talked about purchasing habs, but like renting a hab is something that I feel would be a thing. Like that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and if you rent it, I think it would be a lot easier to accept that it moves around.
Yeah.
But you know, as Solo Squirrel says in chat, home is where the crack is.
True. But then also, if you rent a hab, that would also make it so that, like, let's say the CBD on Lorville, the big palace, right? If you are like a, you know, if you're like a space oil like guru or whatever, right? And you have all the credits in the world,
Tsar,
or
whatever,
So like, if you have all those credits, then you'd want one of those rooms. But as a game, you wouldn't want it so that the first person to get that money buys it and that it's theirs. But if there's a renting system going on, then only like X amount of people can ever rent those rooms. Then it'd be a kind of cool like way to flaunt how often or how much you play the game, or how little of a life you have, I guess. But I feel like we've kind of gone really, really, really far from inventory.
From personal inventory, we always do that. You know,
we're also
it's
an hour
fine.
into the podcast as well, so it's about that time we wrap up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up. I guess. I mean, unless you have any other things that you want to throw in the very last second.
I'm always full of thoughts, Darj, but like right now we're talking about inventory and we've talked about it all. I mean, like, I guess pros and cons of it all. Again, you know, like, so it's going to be cool just because like it's going to make you think about what you have to do and bring to a different, you know, like an encounter. It's not going to come about with all the limitations that will make it so that light armor makes more sense than heavy. So I feel like when it first comes out, you know, you're going to see loads of people in heavy armor. Now, if all the features we talked about before, so not just personal inventory, but also leaving your body behind and medical gameplay and stuff, if they all come together, it's going to be a ridiculously awesome patch because it's going to change the game and make it so much more of an MMO. Anybody who's used to playing MMOs will go, damn, this is like an MMO. You know, this is an MMO, or like, this is a hardcore MMO because when I die, I lose all my stuff? What? But
like I said, it's not going to be like your everyday grandpa's MMO is going to be a hardcore MMO just because
it's going to be your space dad's
there's
MMO.
so much risk.
But so that's what I feel. Like it can either be a massively impactful patch with lots of really interesting things going on, but it could also not be as crazy as I think. You know, like it might not be as hardcore as I'm expecting / fearing, you know, because it's a possibility. But yeah, that's really it for physical inventory. Until we see it in a couple weeks time, or a couple months time, sorry. All right, play us off, Darj.
Anyway, righto, I have been Darjanator,
and I've been Myre.
Over there has been Myre. Yeah, that guy. You heard the name. This has been the Fortnightly Frontier. We had an excellent discussion about personal inventory and several tangents. If you want to watch us live, come check us out on Twitch/Myre, or follow us on Twitter at Fortnightly Frontier, where we'll be posting our schedules well in advance, so you can clear your schedules and come enjoy. Or, you can just watch us on YouTube or listen on SoundCloud or wherever you get your best podcasts. But yes, this has been the Fortnightly Frontier, and this has been one of the longest outros I've ever done, and I'm still talking.
And we'll see you around the verse.
Oh, in the verse.